pan. So as I said, it works its way down, back, down. And this back pan is kind of unique. It has what we call a fluted bottom, okay? And that gives more surface area being hit by the flame, therefore it does boil really, really rapidly. And it will boil over. So what we quite often do is take one of these, just lay them across like this, and we put vegetable oil on the end of this. And as soon as the foam hits the vegetable oil, it'll dissipate. And we have boiled over a couple of times, and it's not fun because it makes a big mess. So once it's gone through the back pan, there's another float box over there that controls the level in the front pans because they're at a different level. And once again, it works its way through these pans. And then when it gets up here and hits the magic number of 219 degrees Fahrenheit, we'll turn that lever and we'll take some syrup off. Whenever we take it off, we have cone filters that we put in there, like heavy felt filters. And that takes out what we call the niter. In the cooking process, the minerals and stuff will turn into this dark, gooey substance called niter, which is supposed to be good for you. I've been told in the olden days it was used as a tonic, but people don't want it in their syrup because it leaves that sediment in the syrup. So we try and filter that out. Now I said 219, but what we usually do is take this thermometer each day, put it in boiling water, and we can calibrate it and set 0 as the boiling point of water. So as when it hits 7, then we know we have maple syrup. And that's really important because the atmospheric conditions can change it 1 or 2 degrees, and that'll completely change the syrup, make it too light or too thick. Okay. This particular evaporator is wood-fired. There's our wood out there for next year. You can also get them gas-fired, oil-fired, and even pellets. There's one that's a pellet one in central New Brunswick.
But this is cheapest.
When you have 400 acres of land, you can't justify buying oil or gas.
Right.
Although,
How much wood do you burn?
here about 3 cord maybe. You know what a cord is? Cord is a stacked 4 by 4 by 8. So a stacked pile of wood, 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet. Yeah, I talk feet again with you guys. Yeah. So we burn about 6 cord in the house, 2 or 3 cord up here, and about 3 or 4 cord down at the lodge. So we can cut that wood every year. So that'd be about 10 or 12 cord we have to cut every year. I'm getting older, but thank God my son likes doing this now too, so he's helping out. So when we're boiling this thing, we'll open this up, we'll get it going, and we'll fill it so we can't get another stick in. And then about 10 or 15 minutes later, we have to do that same thing over again. So it does take a lot of wood when we're boiling really, really hard. Now it takes an awful lot of sap to make a little bit of syrup, like we said before. So if you look up there, it takes all those silver buckets full of sap to make the one green bucket full of syrup.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
That represents 40 to 1 up there, I believe. So,
Wow.
so when we started this, it's much easier with the lines. When we started this, we had everything was tapped with buckets, and we were carrying 5-gallon pails on snowshoes. Well, that's not any fun. So it's much better with the lines and stuff. Okay. So if we're boiling here, we only get 1 gallon of syrup for every 30 or for every 40 gallons of sap. 39 gallons have to go at the roof of steam. So if you look up top, you'll see we have a cupola on the top. And those ropes will open up the sides so that we can get the steam out before it condenses and drops back down in here again. This evaporator also came with a hood with a great big pipe that does basically the same thing, but because we're more of an interpretive center than we are a big production center, we left it open so people can see the boiling process when it's going on. Any questions?
So that's why the maple syrup is how expensive it is in the stores?
Yeah.
Or is it just because of different companies charge different prices?
Well, goodness knows that every time it goes through somebody else, it goes a little higher, right? But anyway, it's probably because of the work and the amount it takes to make it, I would think. Like, prices don't change much around here, whether you buy it in the store or whether you buy it here, really. So, yeah. So, and in Quebec, it's kind of unique in Quebec. They have a maple marketing board, or some people call it a cartel, but anyway. And all the syrup that's produced, if you have a sugar bush over a certain size, you have to sell your syrup to that marketing board. And they've got warehouses full of it. Probably hundreds of thousands of gallons of syrup they've got stashed. So if there's a bad season, they have all kinds of syrup that they can still sell to around the world, which might be a good thing. I don't know.
What's this open glass cylinder here for?
That's a good point. That tells me what the level is in the front pans here, and then I have another one back here that tells me the level in the back pans. Because this is the one thing you don't want to do in this business is don't boil your pans dry. because it's game over. You have to take the pans off and either replace them or get them steamed and cleaned out. Almost burnt this one the first year I had it, but I caught it just in time. Any other questions? Yeah.
Does Canada only use pure, or do you also sell that Aunt Jemima stuff too?
That's
as
a
well?
good question. So here's the key. If you buy syrup in Canada, the word pure is important because it might say maple syrup, but there's a lot of people that are blending it, like 50-50 and stuff like that. There's a
Wow.
company not far from here that's doing that. So the key word, if it's pure maple syrup, it says pure maple syrup. If it says maple syrup, you better keep reading because it might be something else in there besides. Okay?
So my other question is, why are there different grades
Okay?
or colors?
Originally, when they were making sugar, everybody wanted the light colored sugar because it reminded them of the sugar that they couldn't have, right? Remember I told you it was really expensive, so the light colored sugar was the sugar. When it changed from making sugar to making syrup, they said, well, the light syrup must be the best syrup. So somebody made a call, and for 100 years, the light syrup was the best syrup, but it wasn't. It's all personal taste. So there's light, amber, and dark, and they just changed the grading. I'm not 100% sure. And then there's a few other things, but basically it's color, right? So light, amber, and dark. So the light, very, very mellow taste. You know, the amber is my favorite because it's still really mapley, but and that's what we have down here. That's what my favorite is. What we have down here. But anyway. And then the dark stuff, it's strong, and a lot of people like that, and a lot of people use it for cooking because you get that much better maple flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Does it get pretty hot during the boiling process?
Well, you would think it would, but it's in March and it's pretty cold in here. And I just said to this gentleman here, the only place it gets hot is in front of this door. That door will get cherry red when we're boiling really, really hard. So you sit there, you're burning up on this, and then your backside's frozen because this place isn't insulated or anything. As you can see, the roof's wide open, so it doesn't warm up that much now. Now, I should also say, this sugar shack right here, kind of halfway in between what it used to be and what it is today. So when I was a kid, I remember going to sugar bushes that were old shacks with dirt floors. And they went in there every year, and they made their syrup, and then that was it. The mice and the squirrels moved in for the rest of the year.
Oh.
And now today, the modern ones, they look like a stainless steel kitchen. Cement floors, everything's, immaculate. And reverse osmosis in the basement so they can take out up to 40% of the water before they even boil, so there's less boiling time. Okay, so we're kind of halfway in between that. Okay, I haven't seen any squirrels yet. But anything else?
How much do you produce?
Oh, around 30 gallons.
That's it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Do you do it all in one go?
One boil?
One boil.
No, that's a good question too. So once we start, the first day we'll usually boil pretty hard. At the end of the day, we might be able to take off a couple of gallons. But after that, each day when we're done boiling, we can just leave this thing. Just let the fire go out and leave it. Then the next day we can come up and start the fire and just carry on from where we were. But once we've got that initial boil done, which was 100% sap, right? This stuff's probably almost syrup. Every time we start, this stuff's almost syrup now. So we'll take off a couple of gallons every hour or two. So, yeah.
Only producing 30 gallons. Do you want to keeping it all, or do you?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's used right here, every ounce of it. Yeah.
But you sell it too, right?
Yep. Any other questions?
Do you sell the syrup here or do you sell it at the market?
No, right here. We don't have enough to put out to the markets. We barely get by here. So. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go down the hill and just wait in the parking lot. I'm going to go inside. Got some snow and some containers, and we're going to do some sugar on snow. Okay?